Welcome back to the latest episode of Conference Chatter TV. My name is Eric Sorrentino. I'm the KUSports.com Big 12 blogger, and we're recording live here today from Denver, Colorado. I'm out here visiting my brother, who, as you can see in the back, has a rather favorable view of Coors Field here where the Rockies play baseball. It's a pretty nice day out here, guys. 50 degrees and sunny. Snowed a couple days ago, but that's in the process of melting away, and it's a pretty nice day out here, so I figured I'd talk some Big 12 football. I can almost see my breath here when I'm talking out here in Denver, so you know it's a pretty good day to talk some Big 12 football. Let's reflect what happened in Week 11. I had another undefeated week, thankfully, 6-0 in Week 11, improving my season mark to 66-19, picking at a 77.6% accuracy rate. So let's get to some of those games that happened there in Week 11. Couple of interesting ones, guys. Starting with Missouri against K-State. Missouri 38, K-State 12. I just had a feeling about this one. I was telling you guys it's a really unpredictable kind of year in the Big 12 North. And Missouri went in there and took care of business in Manhattan. K-State with that loss dropped to second in the North at 4-3. Of course, Nebraska with its victory over Kansas, now 4-2. So next week, that sets it up for the North title. K-State at Nebraska. That'll be for everything there in the North next week. But in this game, Danario Alexander just went absolutely crazy. 10 catches, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for Missouri. This guy's now third in the country in receiving yards, third in the country with also in touchdown receptions, with 11. He leads the Big 12 in yards and touchdowns, and he may be the best Big 12 receiver this season. I mean, coming into the season, I never would have thought that. But along with Jordan Shipley, he's really been the best receiver in the Big 12. Desmond Briscoe, I thought, many thought coming into the year he was the best receiver in the Big 12. But Alexander's really, he just has better numbers this year. The guy's really just gone nuts these past couple of weeks. And why he's not higher on NFL mock draft boards is really beyond me. I haven't really seen him that high on mock drafts, but look, the guy's 6'5", 210 pounds, and has great breakaway speed. I don't know what's not to like about Danario Alexander, other than the fact that, his injuries in the past. I mean, you're looking at a guy here who's had 3 knee surgeries and a wrist surgery in the past, but I didn't notice. 10 receptions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. You can't notice. I mean, the guy he looks great. He's been doing it all year, and credit Missouri for finding him early and often, because K-State proved that it could not stay with him on defense, that's for sure. So Missouri with a very nice victory. Let's move on to some other ones here. Iowa State 17, Colorado 10. A nice victory for the Cyclones, who improved to 6-5 on the year, and they're now bowl eligible. That is incredible to me. I didn't think that they'd make a bowl this year, but Paul Rhoads, his first year as head coach, got to give him credit. Paul Rhoads now has won more games in his first season than Gene Chizik did in his previous 2 seasons. Gene Chizik went 5-19 in his previous 2 years at Iowa State. Now, of course, the head coach at Auburn. But Paul Rhoads has worked miracles, quite frankly, in Ames with much of the same personnel that Chizik had, and he wasn't able to get them to a bowl. So credit Paul Rhoads. I didn't think that he could get him to a bowl in his first year. And, if there was one area for Iowa State that I'm noticing just a different frame of, they're just completely better this year, it's their defense. I mean, tremendous amount of credit to Paul Rhoads for improving that defense. This was a defense, guys, that they just couldn't tackle anyone last year. They gave up 35 points a game last year and were 110th in the nation in scoring defense. This season, it's a different story. They've only given up 21 points per game, and they have improved to 36th in the country in scoring defense. A lot of that credit goes to Paul Rhoads. He's just shown great enthusiasm that, quite frankly, was absent in the era of Gene Chizik. So that was a great win for Iowa State. Moving on, we had Nebraska 31, Kansas 17. I don't know what it is about Roy Halou, but he just loves facing Kansas. 156 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns for the Nebraska tailback. Just shredded that KU defense. And now, of course, Nebraska in great position to win the North. All they have to do, beat K-State at home next week, and they will represent the North in the Big 12 championship game. this is now 5 straight losses for Kansas, and the slide just continues for the Jayhawks. They're probably not going to win next week in Austin, so really making a bowl will depend on what they do against Missouri in the last game of the season at Arrowhead Stadium. Never thought I'd say that at the beginning of this year, but that's pretty much what it's come down to for KU. Next, we had Texas 47, Baylor 14. Texas was up 40-0 at the half. This one was over easily by halftime, and Mac Brown honestly could have run it up even more, but Texas didn't really do anything in the second half. They just kind of ran out the clock, and it's really just the same old song for UT. Just keep winning, and then watch Florida and Alabama duke it out in the SEC title game, and whoever loses, they'll probably drop below Texas. Texas will rise up and play in the BCS title game. So pretty much the same old thing for UT. They'll close out the season at home against Kansas, and then on the road against A&M. I don't see them losing either of those. So it should be an undefeated regular season for the Horns. A great job done by Mac Brown over there in Austin. Let's see, next, keeping in the South here, Oklahoma 65, Texas A&M 10. Just a complete rout in Norman by Oklahoma. This was one way for Landry Jones to bounce back from 5 interceptions 2 weeks ago against Nebraska. Came back here against A&M and threw 5 touchdowns against the Aggies. So just a great game for Landry Jones. And then, of course, DeMarco Murray, that running back for Oklahoma, 223 combined yards, 2 touchdowns. This one was over long before it started, most likely. Oklahoma running away with it, continuing to prove that, at home they are nearly unbeatable. Even in a year when they are not dominating like they were last year, they are pretty much unbeatable at home. I think, much like we talk about Kansas and basketball having the best home court advantage in the country, I think the same can be said for Oklahoma in football. It just doesn't get any better. Bob Stoops pretty much never loses at home, and they proved it. They proved it against A&M that they are nearly unbeatable at home. Take us to our last game of the week. It was Oklahoma State 24, Texas Tech 17. The Cowboys ran the football very, very effectively and efficiently. Zach Robinson, 99 yards on the ground. Keith Toston, 78, plus a score. Then Kendall Hunter working his way back in the lineup from injury, 68 yards on the ground. A very balanced attack for Oklahoma State. And this really has to be their bread and butter now with Des Bryant out for the year. With Kendall Hunter coming back in the lineup, that's really the strength of this team is going to be running the football now. They did a great job of that against Texas Tech. It was kind of a scary moment, though, with Zach Robinson at the end of the game. If you guys were watching that on Saturday night, when he went down with a collision, after a collision with Jamar Wall, and he kind of lay on the ground there. It looked pretty scary, but good news for Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy on Monday talking on the Big 12 coaches teleconference saying that Zach Robinson will most likely play on Thursday against Colorado. Of course, it's an earlier game, Colorado-Oklahoma State, but Zach Robinson should be in the lineup for the Cowboys. Great news, because that looked kind of like a scary moment for Oklahoma State there at the end. So 6-0, I loved last week. After that 2-4 mark 2 weeks ago, I had to kind of get some revenge here in the last week. So, well, guys, I appreciate you checking out the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV. I am Eric Sorrentino. I am signing off. And as usual, I'll be back this week to predict the games upcoming in Week 12. Thanks, guys, and have a good one.